We start from verse 238 of Surah Al-Baqarah. In fact, we have taught over the past 10 verses about menstruation, divorce, breastfeeding, and all that. Their topic was cohesive, and I was very comfortable while talking. There was a pattern or context or thematic link between the 10 verses we covered in the last video. This time, we will encounter a very big problem, and you will notice it in the verses. First, we are moving away from divorce, childbirth, breastfeeding, and all these things to those who maintain the prayers, especially the middle prayer, and stand before God devoutly obedient. We have begun a completely different transition, far removed from what we mentioned. About divorce, the waiting period for divorced, and non-divorced pregnant women, and all of that. So, this is a completely new qualitative shift in this episode, and we encountered similar shifts 4 or 5 times. Notice with me, okay. The truth here is that I want to say that the number of prayers is fixed, meaning maintain the prayers and the middle prayer. Keep in mind that prayers here means plural. And the middle prayer means it is in the middle of a plural, because it could have been said maintain the 2 prayers and the middle prayer, but it says maintain the prayers, which is the plural of prayer, and the middle prayer, which is in the middle of the prayers. The truth is, well, isn't it enough for believers or Muslims who believe in Islam to have a verse like this to suffice without the Sunnah, meaning without what has been passed down from the Sunnah? Especially since the Sunnah did not mention in a hadith from the Prophet the number of prayers. It was passed down as a practice they used to perform back then. You could make them 7, you could make them 3. I mean, what is a prayer in a prayer? And one in the middle, they would still be combined. So they would be 3 prayers, in any case. The truth is, I say that the matter of prayers is more firmly established in the central text, meaning it has more credibility in the central text than it is established through transmission, because all these rituals have reached us today through transmission. Through transmission, people used to do that, meaning the Prophet himself did not say in a hadith, in the Sunnah, which I do not follow at all, did not say that prayer is 5 times a day. He did not say that. There is no hadith like that, by the way. But the Quran is clear. It says there are 3 prayers, or there are prayers and a middle prayer. So I should be content, and be content. Sir, with 3 prayers, nothing will happen. God does not need you to call upon him 5 times a day. 3 times is more than enough. I even suggested before that it could be once a week, and that's it. The important thing is the work that you produce. That's the issue, that you are honest, and that you work. This is my perspective. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but the excessive number of prayers doesn't really mean much. And then there's the story that it was originally 50. So God negotiated. The Prophet went to negotiate with God and said, reduce it a bit for these poor people. So God said, okay, let's make it 25. But the Prophet said, no, that's still too many. So God reduced it a bit more. He said, you mean you're actually dragging the creed or religion into a maze or into absurdity, with no beginning or end. I mean, did the Prophet really have to go to God and ask him to reduce the 50 to 5 for it to be reduced? And then, why did he reduce it if it was 50? Did he reduce it for the Prophet's sake? I mean, isn't it that people have agreed upon this, that they meet in the place where they pray 5 times or whatever? But the Quran is clear. The Quran tells you that you could be doing it 3 prayers and that's it. Actually, there are 2 points here in this verse. Ibn Kathir says, just to make things clear, and I'll tell you in the full line. Ibn Kathir says about Abu Yunus, the servant of Aisha. Abu Yunus, it was reported about him, and what was his job? He was a servant of Lady Aisha. He said, Aisha ordered me to write a Quran for her, and she said, when you reach the verse guard strictly the prayers, especially the middle prayer, let me know. He said, I wrote a Quran for her, and when I reached that verse, I informed her. She said, right guard strictly the prayers, especially the middle prayer and the ASR prayer, and stand before Allah with devotion. I heard it from the Prophet like that. It's natural, I mean, we can believe Lady Aisha because the revelation was coming to the Prophet while he was in her lap, so she is more truthful than anyone else. This narration was reported by Ahmad and included by Muslim in his Sahih. You can find this in the line by Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir quoted it from them in lines 10 to 12. So I'll say it again, which is that Abu Yuda said that Lady Aisha told me to write a Quran for her. Of course, she didn't mean to compose a Quran for her, she meant to copy a version. This means when you come to the verse guard strictly the prayers, especially the middle prayer, the man wrote a Quran for her. When he reached this verse, he told her, I have arrived, I have reached it. She told him to write, guard strictly the prayers, especially the middle prayer and the ASR prayer, and stand before Allah devoutly obedient. This is how I heard it from the Prophet, meaning it's not like how we read it now. It's missing two words, as Lady Aisha said. I'm not the one saying the Quran is incomplete or anything. She's the one saying it, and I don't know, of course, how it didn't reach 12 stories and the ASR prayer, but that's what she says, and we're just conveying what she said. No problem, refer to Ibn Kathir, and if it's not there, then we can discuss everything. Now, what does Al-Qurtubi say? Al-Qurtubi says that the middle prayer refers to the far prayer. There are opinions. Some say it's far, some say it's dur, some say it's ASR, and some say it's Jumu'ah. These are opinions. Pay attention. People are divided into different viewpoints. And it is said that the evidence that Jumu'ah is the middle prayer is what is meant by middle because of what was narrated by Muslim from Abdullah. The evidence is what Muslim narrated from Abdullah. The Prophet said to a group who were neglecting the Friday prayer and not attending it, what did he say to them? He said, I was about to order a man to lead the people in prayer, and then I would burn down the houses of those men who neglect the Friday prayer. Meaning, it wasn't me who would pray. I was going to have someone else lead the people in prayer. The Prophet, who used to lead the people in prayer. In today's terms, I would have ordered someone to lead the people in prayer and burn down the houses of those who neglect the Friday prayer. And who said that this is the middle prayer due to its importance to the Prophet? If you fear, then pray on foot or while riding. So when you are safe, remember Allah as He has taught you what you did not know. What's the simple story here? If you are on an expedition, in a war, in a conflict, and you are afraid, whether riding or walking, Rijalan means on foot. Pray, what does it mean to pray? Whether you are walking, whether you are on foot or riding, meaning on foot, walking on your legs, or riding animals, pray. And even if these animals are not facing the Qibla, meaning not facing the Kaaba or Mecca, towards the Kaaba in Mecca, pray. If you are walking, you can perform the 4 units of prayer in one prostration or 1 unit, bow once and then stand up, or prostrate once and then stand up, and you have prayed like that. When the state of war ends, what happens? The prayer returns to its normal state, for units with its prostrations, its bowing, everything with its reverence, everything. But as long as you are in danger, you can pray while walking on foot, and you can pray while riding in any direction. This is what Ibn Qusayj said. And Al-Qurtubi also mentioned that facing the Qibla is not a big issue for us. The important thing is to preserve your life. That's the main point. So our discussion about prayer in 38 and 39 discussion about prayer 240 says, and those who pass away among you and leave behind wives should make a bequest to their wives for a year of maintenance without expulsion. But if they leave, there is no blame on you for what they do with themselves in a reasonable manner. And Allah is mighty, wise. The truth here is, this verse was saying that if a woman's husband passes away, he should make a bequest for her to stay in his house for a year after his death. So there is no blame. A bequest for their wives for a year, which is a year. Very well. There is another verse that says 4 months and 10 days only. So the verse that mentions 4 months and 10 days only abrogated the verse about the year, which is to the year. Ibn al-Zubayr was telling Uthman ibn Affan, as long as the verse that says, and those of you who die and leave wives behind, they shall wait by themselves for 4 months and 10 days. As long as the one with 4 months and 10 days abrogated the one with a year, why are you writing it? This is what Ibn al-Zubayr was asking Uthman ibn Affan, saying, why are you writing it? What was Uthman's response? Uthman's response was, I do not change anything from its place. I don't change anything from its place at all. I found it in the Quran like that, so I recorded it as I found it. I found it like that, so I copied it just as it is. It's clear that Ibn al-Zubayr was asking like that. Indeed, I also have. Here also, this verse that we are dealing with also had another part abrogated. What is the other part? It says a will in it. No, here a verse abrogated. A part of the will, meaning there is a verse that abrogated the sunnah, which is 4 months and 10 days abrogated the sunnah. And there is another verse that abrogated a part of the will in verse 242. What is it? They have. A quarter, it became obligatory, so you no longer need to make a will. No, they have a quarter of what you leave if you have no children. If you have children, then they have an eighth of what you leave. This is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 12. So, the verse 240 from Al-Baqarah that we are currently explaining was abrogated by 2 verses, one from Surah Al-Baqarah itself, and one from Surah An-Nisa. The one from Surah Al-Baqarah was abrogated by the Sunnah, making it 4 months and 10 days of staying in the deceased husband's house. And the verse from Surah An-Nisa abrogated the will, making it obligatory. The husband no longer needs to make a will. If he has children, she will take a quarter, and if he doesn't have children, she will take an eighth. It has become an obligatory process. So Ibn al-Zubayr said to him, as long as it is abrogated in this way, why do you write it? He replied, I am not changing anything from its place. It is a sign. I found it like this, and I said it like this, that's all. In fact, Al-Qurtubi says, this was Ibn Kathir's statement. All of what I just mentioned is found in Ibn Kathir. Al-Qurtubi says that the meaning of the verse 240, is that the one who is on the verge of death, who is facing death, should make a will for his wife, or his widow, meaning the one who will become his widow after he passes, to stay in his house for a year. And he also says that this matter of the will is not intended for the husband to make this will. It is God who originally ordained that she should stay for a year. It doesn't require the husband or anything. This is originally from God, not from the husband. This was Al-Qurtubi's opinion, or what Al-Qurtubi conveyed from others. I don't want to tell you who said and repeated it because they said a lot, and I'm trying to summarize it anyway. Here, verse 240. has no relation to 238 and 239 that we were just discussing. We were talking about prayer, and now we are talking about a woman whose husband has died. What is her situation? Will she stay for a year or for 14? Will she have a will or will she have an inheritance? A legitimate inheritance, I mean, regulated. Do you see what this has to do with your hand? Therefore, this is completely new. I mean, there are verses 238 to 239 about prayer, and the middle prayer, etc., and there is verse 240 about a woman whose husband has died. What does this have to do with that? I don't know. I am ignorant of this truth. Okay, 241 is a completely new topic, unrelated to what came before, neither to prayer nor to a woman whose husband has died. And for divorced women, there is a provision according to what is reasonable, a duty upon the righteous. Divorced women, see, we were talking in the last episode entirely about divorced women. It was a section with 3 verses, and then it returned to divorced women again. Ibn Kathir says, what is the reason for the revelation of this verse? He says that when it was revealed, provision according to what is reasonable, a duty upon the good doers. Or provision according to what is reasonable, a duty upon the good doers. A man said, he is the one saying this. Which man? We don't know. A man said, if I wish, I will do good, and if I wish, I will do good as I please. So it was revealed. And for divorced women, there is a provision according to what is reasonable, a duty upon the righteous. I don't really know the difference between the good doers and the righteous, but the good doers are those who do good, and the righteous is a characteristic, a trait of a pious person. I understand that if it was mentioned in one verse as doing good and in another verse as a duty, there could be a difference. Side 242. Thus does Allah make clear to you His signs, so that you may understand. The truth is, the word so that you may really grabs my attention in the Quran. What does so that you may mean? I'm not sure. Does it mean maybe? Possibly? Does it imply that Allah doesn't know if they will be pious or not? For example, if you go to the doctor and he prescribes you a treatment and says, try this treatment, it might work. Does it mean he's not certain? It means he's not sure of the result. He doesn't have certainty whether it will work or not. The truth is, so that you may, perhaps, and maybe, the word perhaps is understood. It's clear, meaning it's understood, and doesn't need explanation. So that you may be conscious, maybe you will be conscious, there's a possibility you will be conscious. This is the issue that I truly can't reach a decision on regarding the word perhaps. 243, this is a completely new topic. Pay attention. It has nothing to do with everything that came before. It says, have you not seen those who left their homes in thousands fearing death or the fear of death? So God said to them, die. People who were leaving out of fear, God told them, die. Then He brought them back to life. Indeed, God is full of grace to the people, but most people do not give thanks. Have you not seen those who left their homes in thousands fearing death? So God said to them, die. Then He brought them back to life. He told them to die, then brought them back to life again. Indeed, God is full of grace to the people, but most people do not give thanks. The truth is, let me tell you what's the story here. Al-Qurtubi says that there was a group from the Israelites. Their number was 4, and some say 8, and others say until they reached 40,000. No one knows their exact number. They were afflicted with a disease, like the plague, so they fled from a village called Jordan, but no one even knows where it is. They didn't say. They went to one of the valleys, and God caused them to die. They fled because the plague spread among them. So they left their village and went to a valley. They thought the valley wouldn't have the disease, but while they were fleeing, God caused them to die. A prophet passed by them and found them dead. He said, O Lord, bring them back to life, and God brought them back to life. This is what Al-Qurtubi says, discussing why God caused them to die before their time. He says it was a punishment for them, according to one opinion. Another opinion suggests it was a miracle for one of their prophets, who was Shimon. And a third opinion says that when God commanded them to fight through the prophet Ezekiel, they were afraid of dying. They said, "No, if we go to fight, we might die in battle." So they fled from their homes. God wanted to prove to them that even if you run from death, you can still die. Death is in my hands alone. That's basically the story. The words they say. I can repeat, of course, if the matter isn't clear. People left their homes or their lands and went to one of the valleys. Fleeing from the plague, God caused them to die for 8 days. A prophet passed by and found them dead. He said to God, "Is it true that these people..." So God brought them back to life again to make them understand that no matter how much they flee from the plague, from struggle, from anything, death is in God's hands. It will neither be delayed nor hastened. That was the story, meeting support for everything. Here, Ibn Atiyah says, and I mean, this is one of those names I hear a lot from those who say, he says that all these stories have weak chains of transmission. What does weak chains of transmission mean? It means fabricated. Nonsense, meaning what I said a little while ago about people who fled or didn't flee, and so on, has weak chains of transmission. He says the main point in this verse is that God informed his prophet about a group of people. God didn't say he informed Prophet Muhammad about a group, not Shimon or Ezekiel, right? No, this is a matter specific to Prophet Muhammad. God informed his prophet about a group. They left their homes, fleeing from death. God told the prophet that there were people who left their homes, their lands, fleeing from death. So God caused them to die, and then brought them back to life to show them that death is in God's hands. These are the two stories that are present. Is it? In truth, this verse about the people fleeing from the plague has nothing to do with divorced women at all, which is, and for divorced women, a provision should be made in a fair manner, a duty upon the righteous. It has no connection, meaning there is no relation. These are people getting divorced, and we are examining their situation and provisions, and these are people fleeing from the plague. What is the connection between this and that? This is a new topic as well, and you need to open your mind. And think about it, in any case, 244, and honestly, I'm trying to finish quickly because people get anxious about the length of time. 244 and fights. Keep in mind that people were fleeing from the plague in the previous verse 243. Here 244 says, "And fight in the way of Allah, and know that Allah is hearing, knowing." We have entered into the topic of fighting. People were fleeing in fear of death. And here it says, fight in the way of Allah, and know that Allah is hearing, knowing. Of course, Al-Qurtubi says that this is an address to the nation of Muhammad to fight in the way of Allah, so that the word of Allah is supreme. Some agree. Some disagree on the meaning of the verse. Whatever its meaning may be, just be aware. And there is another opinion by Al-Qurtubi himself, which says that this address is not for the nation of Muhammad, but for those who were revived from the children of Israel. What is the connection between this, and what came before? No one asks themselves this question even once in their lifetime, in all these 1,400 years that have passed. We don't have the courage to ask what the connection is. I'm not making anything up. I'm just someone asking. In any case, 245, and we'll stop here, with this being the last one. Who is it that will lend to Allah a goodly loan? Well, fight! Who is it that will lend to Allah a goodly loan? A completely new topic. We're dealing with about 5, 6, 7 verses this time. And we're entering into 5 or 6 different topics. Only the first 2 verses are about one topic. It was about prayer, and after that, each verse is a topic on its own. We're entering into 7 topics. Oh, right, it says, who is it that will lend to Allah a goodly loan, so he may multiply it for him many times over? And it is Allah who withholds and grants abundance, and to him you will be returned. This is a new topic. Al-Qurtubi says, regarding Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, pay attention here because you'll understand that the topics are not related to each other at all. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud said, when the verse was revealed, Abu al-Dada said to the Prophet, there was a man named Abu al-Dada. He said to the Prophet, does Allah want a loan from us? Does Allah want to get closer to us? He was asking, clearly in a way similar to how I would ask. Abu al-Dada, like Ibn al-Zubair, was also asking. He said to him, when this is abrogated, why do you write it? He replied, I found it like this, so I write it like this. Are you paying attention? I'm transferring it like this. Uthman ibn Affan, despite the fact that Uthman ibn Affan burned dozens of other Qurans to unify them into one Quran, right? Here, right. So, Al-Qurtubi says about Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said when the verse was revealed, Abu al-Dada said to the Prophet, does Allah want a loan from us? The Prophet replied, yes, Abu al-Dada. The Prophet responded to him and said, yes, my brother, Allah wants a loan from us, right? Abu al-Dada said to the Prophet, show me your hand. He said to him, show me your hand, O Messenger of Allah. He said to him, take his hand. He said, all right, and he handed him his hand. He said, I am. Pay attention, he put his hand in his hand and made a pact with him. Abu al-Dada said, I have lent Allah a garden. It was clear that it was a walled garden with 600 palm trees. Give me your hand. I have made a pact with you that I have lent Allah a loan of 600 palm trees or a garden or a wall containing 600 palm trees. Of course, 600 productive palm trees, meaning olives with fruit, oranges, anything. And al-Dada walked until he reached the garden wall and called out, O mother of al-Dada. She replied, yes, Abu al-Dada. He called her, and she said, yes, at your service. He said, come out of the enclosure from the land. It was clear that he had built a house there or something. Come out, for I have lent the garden and the palm trees to my Lord. He said to her, come out, I have lent our garden to our Lord. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, he has given a loan to Allah. And then he said, how many large clusters of dates? And a spacious home for Abu Dada. This is poetic language, meaning for Abu Dada because he gave a good loan to Allah. It depicted 600 palm trees. How many large clusters of dates? And a spacious home, meaning its fragrance is filled with sweet things for Abu Dada. I'm not really concerned with what the verses mean or their interpretation or explanation. I'm sorry for using the word interpretation or all that talk. That's not the meaning for me. What is the relationship between the verses? What is the context that connects them? What is the general framework? What is the overall idea of them? What is the general idea of 7 to 8 verses that we talk about, and they contain 7 to 8 different topics that have no relation to each other at all, neither in the reasons for revelation, nor in the unity of the topic, nor in the unity of the idea, nor in the general context, nor in the pattern, nor in anything at all? We need to honestly and clearly ask ourselves, because this leads us to the collection of the Quran. Those who collected the Quran are human beings. Why do you say that we are responsible for collecting it and its Quran, which is up to God? That means God is the one who collected it, and God did not collect the Quran. We will talk about this when we get to it. The one who collected the Quran is a human being, and those who arranged and numbered it, arranged its verses, and numbered its images are human beings. And those who compiled it, added the diacritics, and shaped it were humans.